We now resume the next segment of healthcare planning and infrastructure, the fifth edition of 2026, with more engaging discussions, expert insights, and future-focused conversations shaping the healthcare ecosystem. Now we turn our attention towards the human capital that forms the foundation of every healthcare institution, our nursing workforce and healthcare professionals. That is the panel number 4. Now may I request our esteemed panelists to join us on the stage. The moderator of this session will be Captain Bobby Ramesh, Group Director, Nursing Excellence, Sarvodaya Healthcare. May we have a great round of applause for ma'am. After her, we would like to have VG Varghese ma'am, who is the Hospital Director at Manipal Hospitals. Can we have Naveen Sharma sir, Vice President and Facility Director, Fortis Shalimar Bagh, Fortis Healthcare, recognized for his extensive leadership in hospital administration. After that, we would like to have Parul Agarwal ma'am, one of its kind in this panel. Last but not the least, Lovely Sunil ma'am, DGM Nursing Administration, CNO. Please have a round of applause for ma'am. Now I would request the moderator Bobby Ramesh ma'am to please take the charge of this panel and bring the best out of it. Please, and can we have a round of applause for these esteemed people who are there on the dais?
Esteemed panelists, respected dignitaries, and my dear friends, a very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the organizers of this conference, Mr. Afzal Kamal, and for being so thoughtful, for including a nursing excellence panel, nursing excellence and staff well-being in the infrastructure planning conclave. So it is so thoughtful of you, because when we talk about hospitals, technology and the latest advancements, the last priority is given to this nursing excellence, and that is why I was a bit surprised when I was invited as a speaker for this event. I readily agreed, because normally here every other department, every HODs and others would be there, and the topics would be everything except nursing. So thank you once again, Mr. Afzal Kamal, for being so thoughtful and including and inviting us to be part of this panel. And I'm sure that this is going to be a very interesting discussion, because we have all the esteemed panelists who are here. We have from various areas. We have an FD, we have a hospital director, we have a chief nursing officer, we have an architect, and also we have a cardiac surgeon who will be joining soon. A hospital can have a best ICU in the country or a best cath lab in the country, but if the nurse has to walk 8 kilometers a shift because the pantry is 4 floors away and she or he has to chart in a noisy corner, that ICU will not deliver excellence. It will deliver burnout. You can buy a 10 crore robot, but if the nurse assisting the robot hasn't eaten in 8 hours because the staff pantry is in the basement, that robot will fail, not mechanically but humanly. Studies say that 1 in 3 nurses consider leaving bedside within 2 years of joining their service, not because they don't love their patients, but because the building exhausts them before the patient ever does. A nursing station without line of sight kills productivity. A medication room without ventilation kills safety. A unit without a chair kills morale. We are not losing nurses to Dubai and UK. We are losing them to our own drawings. I hope our esteemed architect will agree with me. Nursing excellence is not a Nurses' Day poster. It is not a certificate. Nursing excellence is designed or it is destroyed by the infrastructure we give to our nurses to work in. Without much ado, let me ask our panelists some of the questions which will throw some light, and at the end of this discussion we will go from here with some solution towards improving nursing excellence, reducing the burnout and improving the workforce retention of our nurses. My first question would be, any guesses? The architect. Definitely, because we keep listening to others in most of the conferences, but architects we hardly see them. And I'm sure Ms. Parul Agarwal will have a lot of inputs and insights to this discussion.
Yeah.
So Ms. Parul Agarwal, what's the most common copy-paste design error you see in nursing stations that looks efficient on paper but actually increases the nurse's step, noise and stress on the floor? Over to you, Ms. Parul.
Yeah, thank you, Captain Bobby. And before I answer this, you have given a very nice description of what goes wrong in design, and it's like what should be improved. So I would say the mistake that is done, the general mistake that is being done generally is what I feel is the centralized nursing stations that we have. Maybe it's like for the patient rooms, we have a centralized nursing station at the end of the corridor. So every time the nurse has to take such long steps, and it's a huge station, so all the support services are also at the one end. So I think that is that is what I feel for the patient rooms, for the IPDs, we should have some decentralization. For example, we should have some small nurse stations after maybe every 10 rooms or every few rooms, so that all the time only at one edge, suppose the nurse station is there, they don't have to walk so much. And when you said pantry, apart from pantry, we should have like DU, CUs, also should be like decentralized, not that ki ek corner pe DU, CU humne place kar diya and it's like they have to run for everything. And it's like when you have a centralized nurse station, there are a lot of people, so there's a lot of chit chatting also, so the noise thing also it increases, and they don't have that shanti things to work on all those things. So I think decentralization is one of the most thing that we should now practice, and we have started practicing. It's like now clients also say ki don't make a huge central station at one end, divide into few parts. And in ICUs also, it's like we are giving like every 2 patients or this, we are giving one nurse which sees, and we have small stations, not a big centralized station, so that nurse also has a little less fatigue and she is not stressed that she has to see so many patients. So that is what I think.
Thank you, Ms. Parul. Ms. Parul mentioned that instead of having a centralized nursing station, you need to decentralize it so that in a huge ward or in a huge ICU, the nurse doesn't have to walk up and down a long distance. Now, my next question would be to Ms. Loveleen Sunil. Many corporate hospitals track nursing time at bedside as a KPI. What are the top 2 design features in your newest units that increase bedtime, and what's one legacy design you are actively demolishing because it steals the bedside time of the nurses? Over to you, Ms. Loveleen.
Yeah, thank you, Captain Bobby. So at our hospital, we realized that nurse to patient bedtime is an important KPI because that adds to the quality outcomes, the patient satisfaction, everything. But when we say the nurse to patient time, it is not always about increasing the manpower. It is also about the designs where the nurses can spend most of their time at the patient bedside. So in our hospitals, both new and old, I would say, what we have brought in is technological integration in terms of computer on wheels, where nurses don't have to go to and fro to the nursing station to do real-time documentation. Also, that ensures that the nurse spends quality time on the patient bedside, interacting with the patients, assuring the patients. One thing which we are getting away, she has already mentioned, is the centralized nursing station concept. In the newer hospitals, we have smaller nursing stations for smaller number of rooms which can cater. That ensures that the nurse time at the patient bedside is ensured.
Thank you. And yeah, computer on wheels definitely help the nurses to do real-time documentation at the bedside itself than going to the nursing station. Thank you, Ms. Loveleen. And now my next question would be to Ms. Vijay Verghese. You have experience in commissioning of hospitals also early in your career itself. So lot of inputs you'll also be having to share. I'd like to give you an hypothetical situation where the board gives you 50 lakhs for staff well-being. You can spend it on A, 2 new ventilators, B, decentralized nursing station and staff respite room, or C, bonus for nurses. As a hospital director accountable for both outcomes and morale, where does the money go? Walk us through the discussion. Over to you, Ms. Vijay.
Okay, first of all, good afternoon everyone, and thank you so much ma'am for putting me into this discussion. I couldn't say no to you, but I'm so happy that I'm part of this discussion where Bobby ma'am, you are very beautifully related in a hospital infrastructure conference how the nursing workforce becomes the pivotal point of designing a hospital. So that is what I think the point that you were trying to say, and that's a very important concept because 75% of the workforce are nurses and their well-being and their comfort is very important while designing the hospital. Before answering this question, I was just remembering sitting here. I do not know how many of you know that the entire concept of hospital planning or planning a nursing unit was first initiated by Florence Nightingale herself, and even today, that was in 18th century, and even today that design is known as Nightingale ward. So that itself, that is what ma'am, you are trying to put that kind of a perspective into this workshop, that how health infrastructure planning should be centered around nurses. So that's good. And coming to the question that you have asked, see, it does not have a very I'll be very open and frank here, it does not have a very straightforward 1, 2, A, B, C and multiple choice and I select A or B or C. So that kind of an answer, because the question is like, X amount, 50 lakhs is allotted. The decision from a hospital director point of view is based on various factors. Say for example, an operation theatre would definitely give us revenue and return on investment in absolute quantitative terms. But at the same time, work efficiency of nurses is also an important priority for hospital director, because I'm sure Mr. Naveen would also agree with me, the nurses shortage and the burnout of nurses and retaining nursing workforce is becoming one of the biggest challenge for any hospital HR. So their efficiency and also how best these better designed wards or nursing units can improve the efficiency, thus reduce the the cost of hiring, the cost of recruitment, and also maintaining the, so if we can put it into a kind of a quantitative terms, and then the decision making would become easier. So I am not saying that first part is important because there is revenue, second part is, so everything is so interrelated. So we would have to do a little more analysis, but having said that, the well-being of nurses is very, very critical for any hospital administrator to run the hospital, because I would say 75% of the workforce are nurses, and their efficiency is something that actually brings in patient satisfaction, operational excellence, and which in turn will contribute to our P&L, I would put it that way. Last part, I would say bonus for nurses. As an administrator, I cannot only think of nursing workforce, I have to look at the entire staff, and if a bonus is provided, it will be for the entire workforce, not just for nurses. So that's, I've been very honest.
Thank you, Ms. Vijay, for that honest answer. Ms. Vijay Verghese, being a hospital director, was quite strategic here. She was not carried away emotionally. I thought she will choose the answer B, or a C, but she was quite strategic and diplomatic. Corporates always are like that. We have worked in corporate, so we all know. So with what Ms. Viji has mentioned, I'm sure Mr. Naveen Sharma also would like to throw some light on the same. You working in one of the leading chains of hospitals, Fortis Healthcare. Every month PNL and monthly business review meetings with all that pressure. How do you balance with taking care of the well-being of your staff, especially in terms of their accommodation and other facility? Because a nurse spends 8 to 10 hours in the hospital, and after that most of them stay in the hostels. And it is many of the hospitals don't give that priority to the hostel facilities, but I've heard a lot about Fortis that you all give excellent facilities as a strategy for retention of your nurses. Could you please throw some light on the same, Mr. Naveen? Over to you.
Sure, thank you very much. And in fact, I'll appreciate one thing that organizers has also taken this in consideration, taking this as a discussion topic. Second, blessing and disguise that this panel becomes very interesting. You have an architect starting from a hospital, you have a director, you have a nursing, you have a facility director. So all are involved right from the scratch to the final. Now, as administrators, for us, it is important to have that bottom line to be worked out and top line also to be initiated. But what happens in between is also pretty interesting. And that is where this HR comes up. And out of that HR, nursing is one part of the things. So we actually take care of everything. If I need to improve my bottom line, I need to improve my operational process. And in order to improve my operational process, I need to work out on everything. So I'll start up on a couple of things, and I believe I'll just jump out to a couple of other things also.
Sorry to interrupt here. May I welcome Dr. Surendranath Khanna, Chairperson, Adult Cardiac Surgery and Heart, Artemis Hospital. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining in spite of your busy schedule. Now the panel has become more dynamic, Mr. Naveen. We have a chairman of cardiac surgery also part of our panel.
I have a male person to support me also, so thank you very much for that. Okay. So coming on to the point, when we are designing up the hospital, I think couple of mistakes when you are pointing out, couple of things which we need to consider. Not only the nursing station, it starts when a nurse walking into the hospital, the changing rooms and the clock rooms. That is where things starts. That is where the environment and the culture starts from there. Most of the hospitals, they don't care about those clock rooms. It is very filthy. And out of the 700, 800 nurses, you have very small entity to play out. So focus need to start from there. The other focus which Parul had rightly pointed out is the nursing location of the nursing station. How on 8 hours duty she need to walk out. So what we had done at Fortis is that we had taken that the nursing station should be in and around 10 to 15 beds. That is easily approachable. Third and the foremost things which comes in terms of the operational process is the handover time. For all of us who are working in the hospital, be it administrators, be it the clinicians, the paramedics, it is a 8-hour duty. But for a nurse, it is 12 to 13 hours duty. The handover takes a lot of time. Now, coming on to the hostel. There was a time when every hospital used to have the hostel within the hospital complex. So we were cutting edge in terms of our operational expenses. The financials were need to be taken care. The other was from a nurse point of view, the culture. 24 hours that hospital atmosphere is there. So everybody has thought of, not the Fortis only, everybody has thought of moving out of the hospital. So now the hostels have moved out of the hospital. One, it gives breather to the administrators to work out more beds, revenue point of view. Second, from a nursing point of view also. 8 to 10 hours in that atmosphere, and then out of that. We had a very beautiful designed hostel facility where we had designed not only in terms of the NABH from a hospital point of view, but per nurse, how much area we need to give. We don't want to treat our nurse as a hostler, as a school hostler, where we need to give the bunker beds. In every room, it is twin sharing that we are providing. There is a recreation area which has been given. There is a kitchen which is there. Over and above is, if somebody wants to cook of their own, they can also have. And sometime we all understand that the nursing are from either from the southern part of the country or from the northeast or from the different parts. We had also created in such a way that as and when their family members visit, we have the provision that they can also be there. So that bond is there. These are the smaller steps that we had taken. Of course, we'll take this discussion forward.
Thank you, Mr. Naveen. Apart from hostel rooms, a recreation facility also he highlighted is very important to prevent your burnout, and for your mental health it is important. My next question would be to Dr. Surendranath Khanna. Dr. Khanna, in high acuity cardiac units, a nurse walks 6 to 8 kilometers per shift. From a surgeon's lens, what one layout or infrastructure flaw in Indian ICUs that forces nurse to choose between patient proximity and their own physical exhaustion, and how does that impact cardiac outcomes? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, as far as CTBS is concerned, even seconds make a difference. The patients deteriorate in seconds. A patient is having VT, ventricular tachycardia. If it is not managed in time, then we have lost the patient. So what I feel it is extremely important that we should have a decentralized work pods for the sisters. And they should be devoting most of their time and their expertise on the bedside rather than on going here and there. So it is of paramount importance. Other than that, I had been in Fortis Escorts for 26 years as a director. He was talking about it. So there initially when we started, we used to have 2 staff nurses per bed in ICU recovery. So much so that one was always there, and that really adds to the safety. And other issues I do agree what have been discussed. So I feel that is of paramount importance. There or their writing work and their storerooms and all that, if they are spending the time there, the patient care and the safety of the patient definitely takes a hit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khanna. You also mentioned or stressed upon the importance of having decentralized nursing station in ICUs, because every second matters. If a patient goes into a ventricular tachycardia or a ventricular fibrillation, nurses must be available. And you also stressed on the importance of having bedside time, more bedside time, which before you coming, they were discussing on, we had a discussion on increasing the bedside time for nurses. My next question would be to Ms. Loveleen. Max is known for Nursing Excellence Program. If you had to retrofit only one space in every nursing unit tomorrow to fight burnout, what would it be, and how do you prove its impact to your CEO or to your FD? Over to you.
Yeah, first I have to convince my FD before it goes to the CEO. So, the answer to the question, if I had to retrofit one room, it would be a nurse rejuvenation room. And I really mean it. And before I explain, request to Ms. Parul, please do not design it in the size of a patient room, because in next few months it will convert it as a patient
Same
room.
thing happens, it's like we give,
So
duty
little
of-
lesser in size, but then that rejuvenation, see, nurses deal with a lot of emotional conversation, clinical decision making, fast running, everything. And at times they also feel that I need few moments of myself just rejuvenating. And it actually proves. In our hospital, we have started a concept of silent hours. So from 3 to 4, there is no active work happening. This actually helps both patients and the caregivers. No planned activities like the doctor's rounds or physiotherapy, nothing happens on that time. all the nurses retrieve back to the nurse station, maybe focusing on their documentation. Lights are dimmed off and no unnecessary intervening in the patient rooms. They are also been, it has been announced. Before time, it is every day, it is announced by 2:45 that silent hours begins. So patients and everybody is aware of that. So that actually, from that perspective, I'm saying, that actually has helped us when we take feedback from the nurses and patients. They actually said that it has actually helped them regenerate themselves, calm down. They have a peaceful hour. So we do not restrict any emergency things in that time. If that is a clinical emergency, that will go on it is, but otherwise. So from that concept, I'm proposing that rejuvenation.
Rejuvenation launch. Thank you, Ms. Loveleen.
So if I have to convince my FD or CEO that we can measure it on the basis of less absenteeism, less sick leave hours, retention, and nurses and patient satisfaction scores
Very good,
would
very
actually.
good. Absolutely, it improves your nursing satisfaction and their morale, and in turn, the care will be better and it will help in the patient satisfaction as well. My next question is to Ms. Vijay Varghese. Doctors want bigger OTs, nurses want closer supply rooms, management wants fewer square feet. As a hospital director, you are the referee. What's your non-negotiable infrastructure rule for nursing units that you will never compromise on, budget or not? Now I'm sure you cannot be so strategic here, unlike the first question. Which is non-negotiable for you in terms of infrastructure rule for your nursing units that you will never compromise
Yeah.
on?
So I think, the esteemed panels have also mentioned that. I would say again the distance between nurse station to the last patient room. So that is as per the standards of hospital planning. It says that it should not be more than 25 meter. But the closer it is best. So that is where non-negotiable is that distance should be like ma'am said, around 10 to 15 patients can be catered by a single nursing station. If we are not able to do that, since it is non-negotiable, we will substitute it with say computer on wheels or satellite nurse stations across the corridor, so that again that distance is maintained. This is very important, that I will ensure that is done.
Thank you so much. And over to you, Ms. Parul. What is the single biggest difference between a patient-centric and a nurse-centric floor plan? Give us one Indian hospital you redesign where the shift-cut nurses burn out, and what are the 3 non-negotiable design standards for nursing units in 2027?
So let me answer the first question. Basically, the patient-centric design is obviously it runs around the patient comfort, his wellness, and so that he gets well as soon as possible. And the nurse-centric would be based on the workflow. And it would not be only nurses, it would be the whole staff of the hospital, I would say. Like ma'am said, it is just not the nurses. It would be doctors and class 4 staff as well when we design on the workflows. Just because nurses, they make the maximum number of staff, so nurses come first. So any hospital we design, I think the best one is which merges both the things, so that we take care of the patient wellness as well as the people, the caregiver wellness. So I would say if the caregivers are happy, the patients will also be, it's like they'll also...
How do you convince the management? Because in my earlier question I said management want more square feet for patients.
So that is there, but then it's like now I think in tier 2 it is still difficult, but at least in metro cities now they agree, okay, we say ki sir at least give this space, give them a resting room. Initially they did not agree for a resting room also. So now I think in tier 1 it's possible for us to convince the client, but still tier 2 we are still trying to give better infrastructure facilities for the nurses.
Thank you so much. The second one,
second,
what would be the non-negotiable design?
Non-negotiable is like before that you said any it's like a hospital or a project. In our own hospital, like phase 1 we had given centralized stations. That was made maybe 5-7 years back, but after taking all the feedbacks and everything, the new ICUs and everything we have designed, it's like every 2 or 3 beds we have a cubicle and one nurse is sitting right there. So she doesn't have to like do to and fro every time, as sir said, for the specifically CTVS and everything. So we are trying to design modules such that nurses have a very less fatigue. And 3 non-negotiable things are, I think we have discussed most of them. One is the workflow. It's like we have already discussed about it. Second is, like ma'am said, some recreation areas. So those could be meditation rooms, small meditation rooms, maybe in 1 or 2 floors we can have. So that the nurse can just go there, have at least, we should give at least 15 minutes of me time for the nurse. So that can be worked out with the, it's like the owners and everything. So they have some silent time. Maybe it is a meditation room, prayer room, or whatever you call that. And the third is AI driven things, computer on wheels, so that it's like it becomes easier if they are remote or something like that, emergency happens. And we have lot of softwares these days on the bedside also. So if it's like that has impact on the amount, but still if that is incorporated, I think it would be more sorted.
Thank you. And as you rightly said, and as the previous speakers also mentioned about this launch, I am a principal assessor for NABH, and when I go to hospitals for visiting, very few hospitals in the country have this nurses launch.
Yeah.
Every hospital has a lavish doctors launch, but they do not have a nurses launch. So now whichever hospitals come in the designing from 2027 or from now onwards, that should also be given priority. And I am very proud to say that the hospital where I work, it is 20 years old, the flagship hospital. Even then, every floor, every unit, every ward has got nursing lounge for the nurses to sit and have their food or have a cup of coffee. That vision our management had. So because of that, the nurses take tea break, the nurses take break for having water or snacks, and they have a comfortable room. So every management should think like that. And the space should not be only for patients, that there has to be some amount of relaxing
To be-
space
yeah,
for
that's
the nurses
non-negotiable,
as well,
yeah.
which should be non-negotiable, rightly said. My next question would be to Dr. Khanna. Dr. Khanna, cardiac teams run on precision. If in your CTVS ICU, you could redesign one workflow area, what would you as their surgical lead advocate for, and how would it improve both productivity and more of staff?
Again, I would say of paramount importance is that we want nurses to be in the bedside. That's how we can utilize their expertise as well as their time and all the energy, and if they are bedside, because even seconds make a difference and they can devote more time to the patient care actually. And the other thing, I do 100% agree that nurses have been are the backbone of the patient care, and if we really want good output, things like nurses launch and are of paramount importance. They have made many days. I remember my my worst nightmares better and saved many lives. So, they do need that motivation and that I would say ecosystem to encourage them. The other thing is, of course, about the ergonomics. It's not only an ergonomic that they keep on running all the time. So it should be on the bedside, even the displays, the things they want, the investigations, and as close as possible.
Thank you, Dr. Khanna, for your insights. As we are running short of time, my last question would be to Mr. Naveen. If you could mandate one infrastructure feature in every hospital built from 2027, what would it be to guarantee zero nurse burnout and 90% retention?
I think this is not linked to the infrastructure, this is linked the involvement and empowerment of those nurses. The burnout sometimes does not comes from the infrastructure, burnout comes up from their motivation and enthusiasm. Very recently now, last 1 week, we had a nursing day. Every hospital has celebrated that. And every time what we understand is nursing day means that you have a celebration, you have a food, you have a song, you have a music, that is all. But involvement to such kind of the programs, how to evolve, how to get the society also involved into things, empowering them to celebrate their own things. That is something which get out of their burnout. Now that's the involvement, that's how they get linked to your organization. And once you are linked to your organization, you feel that it is your own organization, your own unit, the burnout never comes out. If they are involved in small decision makings. In our hospital, what we had done is that we had a week-long celebration which is going on. And it is not restricted to just that music party. It has been involved that they themselves had thought of going to the community. They themselves had thought of that why not we organize something with the school children's? Why not we do something for the society when they had taken a pledge of the organ donation? So I feel among the 800 nurses that I have, that last 1 week, 10 days, there is a different kind of atmosphere in our unit. They are thinking in a different direction. So now they are not taking care of their patients. They are also thinking of how they are the part of this unit involving into their habitats also. So what we do is we involve them, we take their decision also, the leadership, and groom them also. That's how we are taking care.
Thank you so much, Mr. Naveen. Mr. Naveen mentioned that not only the infrastructure, even celebration matters for their mental well-being, for reducing burnout and also improving productivity. And apart from celebrations, also empowering them. It makes a lot of difference. And this year's Nurses Day theme is Our Nurses, Our Future, Empowering Nurses Save Lives. We came here to talk infrastructure, but what we really designed today was dignity. A medication room with proper light is dignity. A staff lounge with a window is a dignity. A nursing station that lets you see your patient and sit for 2 minutes is a dignity. And dignity is what makes a nurse stay. As we close, I leave you with this, and I believe every hospital leader in this room should print this and put it above their project plans. We don't build hospitals, we build the spaces where nurses save lives. If the space breaks the nurse cannot save the life. And I'd like to thank all the esteemed panelists for the wonderful participation. And one special note which I forgot, Ms. Vijay mentioned in the beginning of her talk that infrastructure planning started with Florence Nightingale's inputs. The nursing station concept itself came because of Florence Nightingale, who designed the first hospital. So hospitals have to think of involving more and more nurse leaders and experienced nurses during the project phase itself. Thank you, esteemed panelists, for your insights and for your contribution in spite of your busy schedule. Thank you, participants, and thank you, organizers, once again for including this wonderful topic for panel discussion. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you so much all the panelists for delivering such an insightful and enthusiastic conversation over the nursing excellence and staff well-being. This is a very critical topic which has to be catered in the public area so that many of the people will get to know about what is mental health, not only for the patient, not only for the doctors, but also for the people who are there in the back. So now I would request Mr. Afzal Kamal to please felicitate these esteemed people, come upon the stage with the memento and deliver to all the esteemed persons. Can we have a big round of applause for Vijay ma'am, please? She stayed back after her first panel for this wonderful nursing excellence panel out of her busiest schedule. Thank you so much, Loveleen ma'am. Thank you so much, Parul ma'am, for being the part of this perfect panel which talks about the designing and all for the nurses. Thank you so much, sir, for coming down from a very long way and make up for this panel. Please, the versatile person who gets added in any of the panel and gives his excellence in all the insightful things.